Hello, my name is Penny Meadows, speaking on behalf of the Thurrock CCG and St Luke's Hospice around a new project I'm leading on called It's Time to Talk. I hope to host a series of podcasts focusing on access to end-of-life care services for people with learning disability, raising the profile of their needs and helping their families. Our aim and passion is to improve the quality of support and access to palliative and end-of-life care services provided for people with LD. St Luke's Hospice is a charity providing compassionate care to people whose illness is no longer curable. We promote dignity in dying and empowering people to make choices that they want from the moment they are diagnosed. For more information, just give us a call on 01268 524 973 or visit our website on www.stlukeshospice.com. Today's podcast is with Neil Woodbridge, CEO of Thurrock Lifestyle Solutions. Hello, Neil.
Hiya.
Can you explain your role and the company?
Thanks, Penny. Yes, as you say, my name is Neil Woodbridge. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Thurrock Lifestyle Solutions. We're a community interest company led by people with learning disabilities. And my job is really to have the strategic lead for the company, but all my bosses are experts by experience, people with learning disabilities. And what we actually do is support people in the community, about 200 in Thurrock, and sadly some of those people are dying.
Can you tell us about your experience with clients accessing end-of-life care services?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, it's not that frequent an event, but we get ourselves alongside the community nurses. We work with the district nurses and people like that, and have lots of links into the GP surgeries and then the health services that are provided via Basildon. But obviously, one of our main connections is St Luke's itself, supporting people to have as positive experience as they can towards the end of their life.
St Luke's is the local hospice here in Basildon. What experience have you had with its services?
Yeah, we've had some fabulous experiences with St Luke's because your end-of-life service is obviously really excellent, and we've had people that have had respite there that we've supported, people that have had counselling support from you, and we've also often used your hospice at home service, which is one that comes out to where the people are actually living and supports them while they're in their house.
When supporting someone at end-of-life care, have you used any of the resources available for patients that help explain their phase of care? Have you linked in with any other services to help do this?
There are a group of learning disability nurses that are associated with Thurrock. We often have linked with them in the past, plus, as I said, the GPs, etc., but also your good selves with some of the resources that you've got. It's a very hard thing for anybody to go through, obviously, and it's a really hard thing to understand, but we've got access to lots of easy read paperwork, etc., and not least of which, of course, the family and the loved ones of the person that's sadly dying. We've got other services that we link to that have supported them via the hospice.
And can you describe how Hospital Passport is a good tool in preparation to end-of-life care and support? Are these used regularly?
Yeah, we really insist that all the people that are using our services have a hospital passport because it's a critical document that basically tells the hospital and other health professionals the sort of things that are very important to individuals. So not just the medical stuff, although that's obviously important, what drugs they're allergic to, etc., but also the little things like talk to this person about EastEnders because it keeps them calm, or this person has a particular love of a certain type of food. So yeah, the hospital passports are really crucial and we enjoy using them, and obviously their development was some of the partnership work we did with your good selves.
And can you tell me about the end-of-life care plan?
Yeah, that's a document that we were involved in helping to write, and there's a Thurrock, in fact it's an Essex-wide version, I believe, and basically the end-of-life care plan is as it describes really. It's a document that you work alongside the individual and the family, and you support them to understand what is happening and what their choices and wishes might be. We've used that extensively with people when they've been dying, and that's a nice document that's quite commonplace now.
How easy or difficult is it for people with LD to discuss issues around end-of-life care?
The honest answer to that is I think people with learning disabilities are often, well, usually are very lovely people, but the reality is the nature of their impairment, if you like, is a low IQ. And so therefore, for most of them, the concept of death is a very hard thing to do and understand. So we've done things like celebrate the Mexican Day of the Dead. We've had death cafes where we've really encouraged people to talk about that. Because I honestly think for some people, going to a funeral and then they're kind of confused where their friend has gone. And that's very sad. So it is confusing and it needs a lot of support to help them to understand.
As you know, the Equality Act 2010 came into place for fair treatment for all. Why do you think this is important in relation to end-of-life care?
We were actually set up as a community interest company led by disabled people themselves who under the Equality Act, have a protected characteristic. So absolutely, we just want access to services. And not a lot of those services are mainstream and there are only minor adjustments that people will need to do. But it's very important in this situation because people with learning disabilities really need to understand that they have rights and we want the CCG, which generally is very good, to understand that and acknowledge that and ensure people can access their services.
In your experience, could you highlight any barriers that people with LD faced when accessing end-of-life care services?
My experience is that in the early days, in early diagnosis, etc., people with learning disabilities do struggle a bit to understand, and therefore the biggest barrier they face often is time. They've got an appointment in outpatients, and it's not long enough for them. They've only got so many minutes for an appointment, so we often try and have double appointments. That's one barrier. There's little barriers around physical access, but obviously in health that's very rare. But there's also things that go on that's about simply people's understanding and having someone that can help them to understand things.
What training needs do you feel there are for LD staff around end-of-life care?
It's a huge topic, not least of which for the staff themselves to understand what is going on and their own emotions, because we've all had experience of bereavement, and so in a professional capacity you have to know how to deal with your own issues. But we had a list drawn up the other day with staff, and they were talking about how to actually broach the subject of death with people, what the actual practicalities of care are when someone is dying, all those sorts of things, and also how to write a will, because we find that most people with learning disabilities haven't got a will, and actually they should have one.
How do you feel the hospice and LD staff can work together to enhance the care and support for patients?
I think the answer's in your question because it's worked together. So whenever it's worked really well for us, it really is a collaboration between the GP, the specialists at the hospital, the hospice and ourselves to all understand which role we're playing and what and how we're helping individuals and making sure they've got access to all the wonderful services that you offer.
Are there any other important issues to consider in caring and supporting people with LD who are facing end-of-life care?
One of the things that came up recently for us, which might sound a bit weird to people listening, is a bucket list. Because we've realised that a lot of our guys, it's better to talk about this when they're well, but talk about actually before you die, what are the things that you'd like to do? So one of the things we've talked to some young people about is having a 25 by 25, which is by the time I'm 25 years of age, what are the 25 things that I'd like to have done? They might not be dramatic, it might be just get a train to Southend, it might not be have married and 4 kids, it might be something quite normal. But, the reality is for us, bucket lists are where it's at, because some of the people that we know who've died have done the most amazing things before they died.
That's a really good idea. I really like that idea. I just feel that the doing the bucket list is a brilliant idea, and it just makes it very positive for people to put all their ideas, in place, and put all their end-of-life care plans in place, and then carry on with life. I'd like to thank you, Neil, for being a guest on the podcast, and thank you for everyone that has tuned in today, and please look out for other podcasts. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much to the hospice. We love you.